You are standing in a park, enjoying what you think is fresh air, and someone a few feet away exhales a thick cloud of fruit-scented vapor from their e-cigarette. You barely notice it. Maybe it even smells pleasant, like blueberries or cotton candy. You assume it is harmless because, after all, it is just water vapor, right? That is what the marketing would have you believe. But researchers are now finding that secondhand vape aerosol contains a cocktail of toxic chemicals that can damage your lungs, even if you have never touched a vaping device in your entire life. And what makes this particularly alarming is that these chemicals can become even more toxic once they mix with the air inside your home or any other indoor space.
Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy-to-listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at Mercola.com for the latest health insights.
That is exactly what a recent study from the University of California, Riverside discovered, and the findings should concern everyone, not just vapors. The research team examined what happens when e-cigarette aerosol interacts with ozone, which is a common indoor air pollutant present in virtually every home. What they found was startling. The chemical reaction between vape aerosol and ozone produces secondary byproducts that are actually more damaging to human lung cells than the original fresh aerosol itself. They exposed human lung cell cultures to these secondary reaction products and observed significantly higher rates of cell death compared to cells exposed to fresh vape aerosol alone. So the picture is considerably worse than most people imagine. It is not just what comes directly out of the vaping device that you need to worry about. It is what those chemicals become after they react with your indoor environment that may pose the greater threat.
Let us back up and understand what is actually in vape aerosol in the first place, because the marketing language around vaping has been incredibly misleading for years. The word vapor itself suggests something clean and innocuous, like steam rising from a kettle of boiling water. But e-cigarette aerosol is absolutely not water vapor. It is a complex mixture of ultrafine particles, heavy metals including lead, nickel, and chromium, volatile organic compounds like formaldehyde, acetaldehyde, and toluene, flavoring chemicals like diacetyl that have been linked to serious lung disease, and of course nicotine. Every single one of these substances has well-documented harmful effects on human health. Formaldehyde is classified as a known human carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. Lead exposure damages the nervous system, kidneys, and cardiovascular system. Ultrafine particles, which are smaller than 100 nanometers, penetrate deep into the smallest airways of your lung tissue where they trigger inflammation, oxidative stress, and cellular damage that your body struggles to repair.
And here is what many people genuinely do not realize about their everyday exposure. You do not have to vape yourself to absorb these chemicals into your body. Research has shown that non-smokers, who are simply present in the same room as someone vaping, absorb nicotine at levels comparable to being exposed to traditional secondhand cigarette smoke. That means if your spouse, roommate, or teenager vapes in the living room, your body is processing a meaningful amount of nicotine and other aerosolized chemicals just from breathing the air that you share with them. Children are especially vulnerable to this exposure because their lungs are still developing and they breathe more rapidly relative to their body size, which means they take in a proportionally higher dose of whatever is floating in the air around them.
The study from UC Riverside also highlighted something that Dr. Mercola has been warning about for years, which is that indoor air quality is often dramatically worse than most people assume it to be. Most homes have some level of ozone present from outdoor air infiltrating through windows and doors, from electronic devices and printers that generate ozone as a byproduct, and from certain cleaning products that release it during use. When vape aerosol mixes with this indoor ozone, the chemical reactions produce entirely new compounds that did not exist in either the original aerosol or the ambient air. These novel reaction products demonstrated unique and measurable toxicity to lung cells in the laboratory. This is not a theoretical concern or a hypothetical risk. The researchers directly demonstrated significantly increased lung cell death from these secondary reaction products compared to either fresh aerosol or ozone exposure alone.
And the problems do not disappear when the visible cloud disperses from the room. This brings us to a concept that most people have never heard of, which is third-hand exposure. When someone vapes indoors, the chemical residue from the aerosol does not just float around in the air and then vanish. It settles on every surface in the room. It gets absorbed into carpets, upholstery, curtains, bedding, and painted walls. It coats countertops, electronics, children's toys, and clothing. These chemical deposits can then off-gas over time, meaning they slowly release harmful compounds back into the air long after the vaping session ended, long after the windows have been opened, and long after you thought the air was clean again. Studies on traditional cigarette smoke have shown that third-hand residue can persist on indoor surfaces for months and can even react with other indoor pollutants to form new carcinogenic compounds. Emerging evidence suggests that e-cigarette residue behaves in a similar fashion, creating a persistent source of chemical exposure that most people are completely unaware of.
So when you put this all together, we have three distinct layers of exposure happening simultaneously. First, there is direct secondhand inhalation of the aerosol cloud while someone is actively vaping. Second, there is the chemical transformation of that aerosol when it reacts with indoor air pollutants like ozone, producing secondary compounds that are even more toxic than the original aerosol. And third, there is persistent third-hand residue that accumulates on surfaces and continues releasing harmful compounds back into the air for days, weeks, or even months after the last vaping session. Each layer compounds the health risk, and together they paint a picture of indoor chemical exposure that is far more serious than anything the vaping industry wants consumers or bystanders to understand.
Now let us talk about what you can actually do to protect yourself and your family. Dr. Mercola emphasizes that the most effective strategy is also the most straightforward. Keep your living spaces completely smoke-free and vape-free with no exceptions. Air purifiers equipped with HEPA filters can help reduce some particulate matter from the air, but they cannot remove all of the harmful gaseous chemicals, and vape aerosol can travel through ventilation systems, under doors, and between rooms far more easily than most people realize. If someone in your household currently vapes, having them do it exclusively outdoors and away from open windows and doors is the absolute minimum precaution that should be in place.
For people who are currently vaping and want to quit, Dr. Mercola recommends looking beyond willpower and addressing the underlying biological reasons that people turn to nicotine in the first place. Nicotine is a powerful stimulant that temporarily improves focus and concentration, reduces anxiety and stress, and elevates mood by artificially stimulating dopamine and serotonin release in the brain. Those temporary benefits are what make it so addictive, but those effects come at a tremendous cost to your long-term health, and they can be achieved through safer means. Instead of relying on nicotine to regulate your neurochemistry, you can support your brain through proper nutrition, consistent physical activity, and evidence-based stress management techniques.
Specific strategies that Dr. Mercola recommends for breaking nicotine dependence include regular physical exercise, which is one of the most powerful natural ways to boost the same dopamine and serotonin neurotransmitters that nicotine artificially stimulates. Even moderate daily exercise, like walking for 30 to 45 minutes, produces measurable improvements in mood, focus, and stress resilience. Deep breathing exercises and meditation practices can help manage the anxiety and acute stress responses that often trigger intense cravings during the quitting process. And adequate sleep is absolutely critical because even mild sleep deprivation dramatically intensifies cravings, weakens impulse control, and undermines your ability to resist reaching for a vaping device when stress hits.
On the nutritional side, supporting your body through the withdrawal and recovery process means ensuring you have adequate intake of B vitamins, which are essential for healthy neurotransmitter production. Magnesium helps calm the nervous system and reduce the anxiety that commonly accompanies nicotine withdrawal. Omega-3 fatty acids from sources like wild-caught fish support brain health and help reduce neuroinflammation. Avoiding processed foods and refined sugars during this period is also crucial, because blood sugar crashes create energy dips that your brain will try to solve by driving you back to nicotine. Staying well hydrated helps your body flush out residual chemicals more efficiently and supports every aspect of the recovery process.
There is also a social and cultural component to this issue that cannot be ignored. Vaping has been heavily marketed as a lifestyle choice and a social identity, particularly to younger demographics. Roughly 8% of American adults now use e-cigarettes, according to recent Gallup data, and over 1.5 million middle and high school students are current users, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The normalization of vaping in parks, restaurants, homes, and even schools means that people are being exposed to secondhand and third-hand aerosol more frequently and with far less concern than the science warrants. Most bystanders simply do not know what they are breathing.
Dr. Mercola stresses that education and awareness are the essential first steps toward protecting yourself. Understanding that secondhand vape exposure is not harmless, that it carries real and measurable chemical risks, and that those risks actually intensify in enclosed indoor environments should fundamentally change how you think about vaping in your home, your car, your workplace, and any space where you spend time with your children and family. The scientific evidence is clear and growing stronger with every new study. These are not just quirky flavored clouds that smell like fruit and disappear into the air. They are complex chemical mixtures that interact with your biology and your indoor environment in ways that damage cellular health in measurable, reproducible ways.
The bottom line is this: whether you vape yourself, live with someone who does, or simply find yourself around vapors in public spaces and social gatherings, you deserve to understand what you are actually breathing in. The science now shows us that secondhand vape aerosol contains an array of harmful chemicals, including carcinogens and heavy metals. Those chemicals become even more dangerous when they react with normal indoor air pollutants. And chemical residue persists on surfaces throughout your home long after the visible cloud is gone. Protecting yourself and your family means creating genuinely clean indoor environments and supporting anyone who wants to quit vaping with the nutritional, exercise, and lifestyle strategies that address the biological roots of nicotine dependency rather than just fighting willpower battles. For the full article and all references, visit articles.mercola.com and search for secondhand vape health risks.
Looking for trusted health wisdom you can hold in your hands? Discover the life-changing books of Dr. Mercola at joyhousepublishing.com. These titles bring decades of natural health research into practical steps for better energy, stronger immunity, and clearer thinking. Take charge of your health with guidance rooted in science and experience. Visit joyhousepublishing.com now and claim your bonuses while they are available.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.